tätowiere mir Stacheldraht quer über mein Herz. Ich weiß, ich bin das Gegenteil von dem, was du gern wärst. It never was the plan to focus on the ongoings of an international war. No, the plan was to make German politics look very shallow. In the meanwhile, we have published a finance plan for a universal basic income for Germany, a finance explanation in how to restructure Germany fiscally so that all adults receive 1,180 euros a month from the German state and all kids 590 euros monthly from the German state, without going into any further state debt. Totally possible. The calculation isn't so complicated, no big deal. And we do want to look at any international event or any new policy proposal from that perspective. But the finance plan for universal basic income for Germany is out there, no biggie. And any politician not implementing it, is off sanity. And I do think implementing a UBI would be the biggest anti-war strategy worldwide, and that should be implemented. It would be a great sign for Putin and the tragedy unfolding in Ukraine. As I said, no biggie. So let's listen to some facts we contemplated over the past 48 hours about the current war on European territory, on the territory of Ukraine, just to see whether your opinion at the end of the show will be, I think Ukraine should keep self-defend themselves, and the way to really help Ukraine is by sending highly sophisticated, complicated weapons. Or rather, paradoxically, if we try to get to know war better, is a country better served with peace without justice? Crazy, I know. Would it be smarter, and with smarter Berlin.F.U.N means would less people die if Ukraine were to give up some of its territories in order to please Putin? That's a legit question. I mean, are we all following the European war in 2022? Is giving up really such an outrageous idea as it is sometimes portrayed? Let's start with that different sources confirm that 86% of Ukrainian nationals think that they should keep fighting the enemy, even if the war and the bombs and the missiles were to greatly intensify. Only 10% think the country should move on to negotiations, even if that were to mean land loss for Ukraine. I hope we can somehow agree on that statistic is crazy. So we'll go on to current facts about the current war on European territory. The Kiev Independent reports that Zelensky said Russian forces are preparing to blow up a major dam in the south as they set for retreat. Tagesspiegel Checkpoint reports that Western security circles believe Russia will also soon withdraw its military, estimated at between 20,000 and 40,000 troops from the western side of the shore. Should Russia actually withdraw, which would be a major symbolic defeat, this would present Ukraine with another difficult task militarily. The consequence of this, the Dnieper river becomes impassable. Ukraine could in the future attack the southern occupied territories only from the north, from the direction of Zaporizhzhia. Russia could concentrate its soldiers in this section of the front, and its defense capability would be improved. Militarily, all these factors would be an advantage for Russia. The International Atomic Energy Agency says it has so far found no evidence of Ukraine building a dirty bomb. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ruled out that he and Russian President Vladimir Putin will attend the G20 summit in Indonesia together. Does not seem stupid. The Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest nuclear power plant, is to become part of Russian energy provider Rosenergo-Atom. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has led to the largest displacement of people in decades, according to the UN refugee agency UNHCR. Russian troops tripled intensity of hostilities in some areas of Ukraine. Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces told NATO Supreme Elite Commander that Russian forces carry out up to 80 attacks daily in certain areas on the front line. Russia has launched 4,500 missiles in 8 months. Was that an attempt to wipe out Ukraine physically? And yet 86% of Ukrainians just shrug and support resistance regardless the increased attacks on civilians. Close to 1,000 civilian bodies uncovered in deoccupied areas of Donetsk, Kherson and Kharkiv regions. This Ukrainian MP also tweeted that Belarus supplied Russia with over 65,000 tons of ammunition. Yeah, that's 1,940 train carriages. Yeah, that does not feel realistic, but it could be. Lukashenko must be brought to trial, the same as Putin. The same MP says or tweets that 8,709 Ukrainian children have been deported to Russia and likely put up for adoption or into foster homes. Russian troops step up attacks on civilians in occupied Mariupol. The Russian forces continue patrolling the city and conducting ID checks, as well as checking residents' houses and personal photos for pro-Ukrainian photos, symbols or posts on social networks. Petro Andriushenko, advisor to Mariupol mayor, said on November the 3rd, Russia has lost 74,000 troops in Ukraine since February the 24th. Ukraine's general staff reported on November the 3rd that Russia had also lost 2,734 tanks, 5,552 armored fighting vehicles, 4,162 vehicles and fuel tanks, 1,755 artillery systems, 390 multiple launch rocket systems, 198 air defense systems, 277 airplanes, 258 helicopters, 1,442 drones and 16 boats. The Financial Times reports that collaborators publicly hang women for speaking out against Russia. Pro-Russian collaborators allegedly hanged local nurse Tetiana Mutrenko, 56, in what was a public execution on the streets of occupied Skadovsk in Kherson Oblast. Financial Times wrote, citing the sister of the deceased and several witnesses. Mutrenko was executed after she denounced police officers for collaborating with Russia. CNN reports that 1,300 Starlinks in Ukraine go offline due to funding issues. Ukraine fears that its military will lose access to the Starlink internet service after 1,300 satellite units went offline, CNN reported, citing 2 anonymous sources familiar with the issue. On October the 24th, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk said Starlink will continue to operate regardless of Pentagon funding. Zelensky: we are ready for peace, for a fair and just peace. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his nightly address, reiterated Ukraine's formula for peace: respect for the UN Charter, respect for our territorial integrity, respect for our people, and due responsibility for terror, that is, punishment for all those who are guilty, and full compensation by Russia for the damage caused to us. Yeah, good luck, Zelensky, with that. Last but not least, almost 500,000 households in Kiev left without electricity. As of Friday morning, November the 4th, 450,000 homes in the Ukrainian capital are cut off from power due to the overload in Ukraine's power system. Klitschko urged Kiev residents to reduce electricity consumption as much as possible as the situation remains difficult. Thank you so much for watching. If you think you have a perspective worth sharing, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll set up an interview. Thank you so much. Peace in.
My sisters, I can see you. I see you all. You with my human eyes, I can see you. You jump on the mic.